South Africa have broke their ICC drought by absolutely trouncing Australia after going into the third day as massive outsiders. And there's really nothing you can say other than South Africa was simply better, or that they had a couple of hours of sun and Rabada sprinkled magic dust on the pitch to flatten it out, but who's looking for excuses? One thing that is for certain, this aging team needs to have a shake-up from head to toe. Yeah, you might have been the best team in the world for the last 4 years, only losing a series away to India, but we have lost one game now, which means nobody's safe. The entire team is on the chopping block and we need to see some players retire. First of all, I do want to say congratulations to South Africa quickly. It has been some time since the win, so I don't need to go into too many details on why the perfect day for Australia was ruined. I more want to focus on what this means for the team and what we're going to see going forward. But well played, South Africa, because that was, I guess, probably one of their greatest wins in the history of the country, at least in the last 20 years. And I mean, you guys saw the crowds, you saw the chants going for all 3 days, the hysteria when they finally got over the line. It was pretty amazing to see. I'll be the first to admit it. It was a beautiful sight to see. The only problem is I was supporting the other team. Before we talk about HAZLEWOODS' marvellous 15 that lost us the game and also Marnus getting dropped, I just want to quickly remind you, if you're enjoying the long form videos, please subscribe below. Also, if you want the flexibility of having audio and video, head over to my Spotify under the same handle and leave a 5-star review. So it's kind of funny because leading into this game, I actually was pretty cautious of something like this happening to Australia. There were no secrets that leading into this game, Australia's batting was under immense pressure, and someone like Rabada could take advantage of that and roll through the team. That obviously ended up happening. But when South Africa and Australia collapsed for the second time, despite the pitch actually not looking as bad as what I thought the scoreline reflected, I just admitted, okay, this is a terrible pitch. No one is scoring runs. It's just an absolute nightmare to bat on. But the moment that I truly thought Australia were in big trouble was the moment that HAZLEWOODS started looking like he was never going to get out and the bowlers didn't know how to get through his defense. In his defense, HAZLEWOODS has been batting really well over the last year. His average has, I think, gone up, but he's been staying in a lot longer. But at the same time, if you have watched Australia for long enough, you know that Stark and Cummins, when they come in, they can actually hit some runs. They've got pretty solid defense. You could see them grinding out of 50. Lyon, when he comes in, does look a little bit scratchy. I'm not going to lie. You can see his pegs getting rolled over, but if he gets in, if he gets a few runs, he can usually stay in and scratch around, hang in there for a little bit, similar to what we saw in the Ashes in 2023. But when HAZLEWOOD gets to the crease, what it normally means is you get up, you go to the kitchen, you put your food on, you chuck the jug on to make a coffee or a tea, you go stretch your legs because you've got 5 minutes of watching HAZLEWOOD bat and then 10 minutes of an innings break before you sit down and watch the opening bowlers bowl. When he smokes Rabada through the covers for a couple of runs, the bowler that has bowled Marnus out of the team, the bowler that has made the entire country turn on Khawaja, now looks like he is struggling for ideas to get HAZLEWOOD out. If that wasn't a sign of a terrible day, I don't know what is. The dagger in the heart, though, the thing that hurt even more is that when Australia actually got out to bowl, they got a wicket nice and early. Even though I thought, oh no, we're in a bit of trouble, they got that early wicket that just built up hope in Australians, only for us to stay up in about 8-degree weather, staying up till about 2 a.m. to get a whole load of disappointment. Now, before we move on, I've just got one final little qualm with this whole ordeal, and it's the admin of the ICC page, because, oh my god, Australia have never looked like a weaker nation. The amount of edits coming out with South African players looking hard as nail with a lollipop trophy is ridiculous. The trophy literally looks like a lollipop. There couldn't be a less cool trophy to have held over your shoulders. And all I see in my feed is either Australian news outlets calling for the entire team to be dropped, or the ICC making Bavuma look like a gangster from the 80s. Australia is meant to be known for their hard-nosed cricket and aggressive sledging. We even dipped our toes into cheating 7 years ago, and look at us now. We probably have the nicest captain in the world. We can't score a run with a bat, which seriously limits your sledging ability on the field. And then we have South Africans farming billions of impressions looking like gangsters, while we're probably on the most fuel-efficient flight home. This is not the kind of rattling we need before a massive Ashes series. So as I said before, losing a single game means mass change. And although I'm half joking, the media, fans, and actually the selectors certainly aren't. And they have been waiting waiting for the Aussies to slip up, just so all the woke, the boys club, all the other buzzwords can come out, which absolutely drives me up the wall, especially considering how well this Australian test team has done over the last few years. But the worst part about all of this is that I actually agree with them in some sense. No, I don't think Australia favours New South Wales, although I'm from New South Wales, so of course I'll say that, or some other conspiracy theory. But what I do agree on is that I think there does need to be some change to this top six. And when I'm talking change, I'm not talking the classic Australia change where you actually just pick the same players but put them in a different order. I'm talking about getting fresh faces into the squad for the start of the new WTC cycle, trust in their ability, and actually give them a proper chance to earn a place in this test side. It has been confirmed by McDonald that Marnus will be getting dropped for the upcoming test against West Indies, which I think is a great idea, but also not the end of the road for Marnus. It's weird because nowadays it feels like when somebody gets dropped, it means the end of their test career. Everyone looks at it as that's it for you. You go back on the shelf, you're done. But I honestly think this is the best possible thing that can happen to him. He hasn't been scoring the runs that he's needed to score, but it's the manner in which he has batted over the last few years that I think has contributed to this decision. When Marnus came into the side, he was always looking to score. Even when he came on as a sub for Smith in that test, he was positive in his batting, and that approach has just completely gone. He looks a complete different player to what he was. He looks like a player that is wildly out of form, and he knows he is out of form, and his position is at risk, and he is batting as if his position is at risk, trying to defend his wicket, not get out, because he knows if he gets out, he's a good chance of getting dropped. But in doing that, he has lost all positivity. He is not attacking bowlers at all. And they're just, these fast bowlers are walking all over him. They're bowling to their plans. They're setting up the field how they want. Marnus isn't going to attack them or try score. And eventually he just cops a really good ball. Now, lots of people have been saying and will continue to say he's only batted so well. He's only got his test average because he got so many chances. If it wasn't for him being so lucky from him getting dropped so many times, he would just be like any other player, averaging 30 odd, similar to how he is batting now. But I completely disagree with that notion. When he is batting well, he looks like a complete different player. He is positive. He's on the front foot. He's running quick singles. He is trying to score. The only time in the last couple of years that I've probably seen that in him is I think those twin 70s that he got in Melbourne. He was fantastic. A very underrated game for him. And then I actually think this game against South Africa, he has probably looked at his best besides that Melbourne game as he has in the last couple of years, which probably shows how poor he is. And unfortunately, looking good just doesn't cut it when you've been batting so bad. I mean, I think he was pretty solid in his defense. Both innings he kind of got himself out, but he was way more solid with his leaving and actually committing to a defensive shot. Unfortunately, though, like I said, when you're batting that bad, you need to convert those starts into runs. By the way, this has happened to so many great players that I don't think it's a massive issue, and I think for him, it's just getting runs out of the spotlight and getting back into this team. I think the longer he stays in this team, the longer the spotlight's on him, the worse he's going to get. I think it's honestly best for both the Australian team and for Marnus. So along with Marnus getting dropped, it was confirmed that Konstas and also Inglis will be coming back into the side for the first test against West Indies, which is really what I had hoped for. Not that my opinion counts. I'm a random 27-year-old sitting in their room talking about cricket, but I think these are two genuine options for the future. Konstas is far from a finished product, and I think it will take him time to fully master his technique, his approach to batting, when he goes at the bowlers, when he holds back a little bit. But I am so excited to see this kind of player in the side, especially considering the players around him. Similar to Warner and Khawaja, I think having at least one batsman up top that is going to attack the bowlers, put pressure on the bowlers, is massive. At the same time, this isn't anything against Khawaja, because I think it's equally important to have a batsman up top that is able to hold down an end and just stay in. But when you see the top three of Marnus, Khawaja and Green, it was always going to be a huge worry. I mean, you just have no idea where those runs are going to come from. Khawaja has seriously been struggling against fast bowlers for, I guess, the best part of the last 2 years, and typically he's not scoring scoring at a fast clip either. Marnus's strike rate has pretty much, like we said above, plummeted over the last couple of years, so you weren't confident he was going to come out and score runs. Then Green in at 3, and in his defense, he has done absolutely everything right to get himself in that position. I'm not judging his selection. I guess I would have liked to see him maybe further down the order, but he deserved to be there. But at the same time, Green has never been a player that starts super confident. He has always been notoriously shaky at the start of his innings, especially against a moving ball, and he's having to face Rabada. It was always looking pretty problematic. So I think the inclusion of Konstas can give that a real shake-up and hopefully put a bit of pressure back on the bowlers and make it a little easier for that middle order coming in. Now, obviously, this is all hypothetical. This is all made up in our head. He could just come out, swing at the first ball, get out straight away, and we are literally in the exact same problems as we are pretty much every other game. The thing is, what is the harm in trying it? And that's probably my main takeaway from all this selection talk is, at this point, what is the harm in including the younger players? Australia have tried to stick with their players and back them into form. They have always done this. This is why I wasn't overly upset for the team for the WTC final, because you kind of want to go in with your core group. It is very risky adding in new players just for a single final. But now that it's over, now that it's a fresh WTC cycle, we literally could not bat worse by including these players. But what it can do is give them experience against top bowlers for years to come. Whereas our current batsmen, even if they do find their form, even if they do come back, we've probably got a year or two absolutely maximum. I mean, Khawaja has pretty much said he's going to retire after the Ashes anyway. So same as Inglis. He's batting as well as he probably ever will in his life. I think he might get dropped for Smith, but I think he will be around this team and around that middle order and has time on his side. We can't do worse. What is the harm in trying new players at this point? So all of this talk has been great, but there are just two big problems standing in the way. Firstly, the majority of players that are getting looked at are predominantly batsmen that naturally bat 4 to 6. I mean, even Green batting at 3, he's never really batted 3 before. We have Inglis, Green, Webster, Marnus, and then those behind him like your Patterson, your Sanger, your Cartwrights, who have all had good seasons. There are players like Kellaway and Weatherald who have had really good first-class seasons this year and do open the batting that I guess you could bring in. But we are really struggling for natural openers that have held good form for some time. I mean, it's probably the main reason that Khawaja isn't under massive pressure at the moment. We can't fill one opener spot, let alone when we actually probably need 2 openers. And secondly, as much as I love West Indies, and I hope this isn't taken as disrespect in any way, because I'm well aware they tied a series with us at our home last year, but I'm not 100% sure if these pitches are going to be the best test for what's to come in the Ashes. Again, this is nothing against the player. I'm just saying, similar to the tests against Sri Lanka on the turning deck before the final, I think it's not the best indication of how we're going to play in the Ashes. It would be great to see these players on kind of fast, bouncy decks that swing, that seam a little bit, because that seems to be the common theme with this team. We really struggle when it's a fast, bouncy deck. It seems to be our kryptonite. The only problem is, we find those decks at home now. We're really struggling at home. I am a little worried that this West Indies tour is going to give us a little bit of false starter. But in saying that, I want all the batsmen to ton up. I want to win every game by an inning so I can go back to talking smack again. But I guess time will tell. I'll see you in a few days. Oh, and we've got India and England tomorrow, so stay tuned for that.